Thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. We can't all be like Kirby, just eating whatever he finds off the floor, the reckless fool. We gotta get our own food, but sometimes you don't feel like going to a restaurant or you don't feel like doing some grocery shopping. HelloFresh is here to save the day. Choose from a humongous variety of meal plans from all different cultures like burgers, exotic chicken bowls, pizzas, there's a lot there. And you can easily customize your weekly meal plans if you're feeling different or you want to get something you know for sure you'll like. All delivered directly to your doorstep so you save money on going out, especially with these gas prices. They come complete with easy to follow recipes so that prep and cooking take no time at all, wrapped up all nice and neat, saving on waste, and portioned just right to make sure you use everything in the box, or maybe you want a little extra to have leftovers for the next day. I work from home, so having stuff delivered to me is awfully convenient, and as someone who's keen on maintaining a stable weight thanks to DDPY, I'm trying to make sure I'm putting healthy stuff in my mouth. So that means veggies, chicken breasts, something like Crispy Frank's Red Hot Spiced Chicken, roasted carrots, seasoned mash, chicken breast with some spicy panko. I do love cooking, and HelloFresh thankfully keeps my hands busy. And they can keep your hands busy too with their amazing deal. Go to HelloFresh.com and use the code SCMJ16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. Again, that's HelloFresh.com, code SCMJ16 for 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. Thank you as always for supporting my channel, and I hope you enjoy whatever it is you decide to cook. Now let's continue on with the show. So April has been, in no doubt in my mind, an incredibly busy and very eventful month for me. And I'm not talking, just on the Sonic movie travel shenanigans that I got into last time. No, I'm also attending a wedding this week. Not my wedding, but you'll see soon enough. But considering I'm still hard at work on that Yu-Gi-Oh! Retrospective, and I want to give you guys something to sink your teeth into as I'm gone, getting ready to hop onto another godforsaken airplane, I figured, who better than to give me a cozy and easy time than Kirby, and he just had a new game released. Don't get too excited though, this is just a one-off. I don't plan on covering other Kirby games for some time, but this one's an exception because holy hell, Nintendo finally did it. They made a fully 3D Kirby game. What took them so long? Something I think I will be asking later again in this video just as a heads up. So yeah, this is a pretty big deal for the Pink Puff, so let's give it a look-see. And I realized by sheer coincidence, I'm looking at another Kirby game right after looking at Resident Evil games. I swear in this channel, these two series are like intrinsically linked. It's very strange. Good lord, an actual 3D Kirby game. This has been on the docket since the GameCube days, wasn't it? Always lurking in the minds of Nintendo, but never actually pulling the trigger on it for years. It's amazing that Kirby has gone this long without a truly dedicated 3D outing that wasn't a footnote like in Kirby Air Ride City Trial. That said, I have to ask again, what took them so long? Because after taking the time to sink my teeth into this, and for the record, the main campaign isn't terribly long. It took me about 8 to 9 hours to unlock everything. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is standard Kirby affair, only in 3D now. And I want to make this clear, that is not a detriment, that is to this game's benefit. I'm just more puzzled. I imagine with Nintendo finally bringing the extra dimension to Kirby, they wanted to keep things as safe and formulaic as possible to make sure the transition was smooth and concise. And jumping ahead here, they nailed it pretty damn well. And that's why I'm so confused. I'm like, guys, Kirby has always been one of the more simplistic platformers in Nintendo's lineup. Surely it shouldn't have been this difficult to translate that into 3D. And then they finally do it and the game's great. So man, I think they wanted to really make sure they didn't fuck this up, lest you get all the tired Sonic comparisons. But the game begins with Kirby flying around planet Popstar as he is wont to do, but then a cosmic butthole opens up and begins sucking all the inhabitants up. Kirby then awakens to the opening of Crash Bandicoot. Okay, but no, it's a long forgotten realm that visually is very reminiscent of a post-apocalyptic Earth. Shiva Star from Kirby 64 on a much grander scale. Given that this is a Kirby game, this is not fully explored, of course. Kirby lore was always about reading between the lines. On the surface, it's a cute, happy-go-lucky diabetes world filled with charm and coziness, and you are more than welcome to enjoy the game on those merits. But these games have also always had their fun with sinister subtext that dedicated players have fun putting the pieces together themselves to get more out of the story or the bigger picture in general. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, where we have a Kirby game with the post-apocalypse as set dressing. Jesus Christ. But on top of rescuing the captured inhabitants of planet Popstar, Kirby also rescues this little blue dude named Elflin that accompanies Kirby across different parts of this realm to rescue all the Waddle Dees that have been kidnapped. I am shocked by how little story there was in this adventure altogether. I mean, it's Kirby, the games have never been stuffed with narrative, at least on the surface as I said, but after like the opening hour, shit, not even that, there's barely any other cutscenes outside of boss introductions and the endgame stuff, which I will not spoil seeing as this is still fairly new at the time of this video going up, so I don't want to ruin that for you. I will say though, someone in the team really liked Resident Evil 2. Holy shit, these series are linked. If you played other Kirby games though, you will know exactly how things will turn out. A couple of things are turned on their heads here and there, but for the most part it still checks a box off of the list, and you will also know exactly what the post-game entails too. And I'm happy to see they put some love and care in this game's take on the traditional extra mode. This is the kind of post-game I love to see in Kirby, and I was not disappointed. But perhaps most importantly in my eyes, and what I find most impressive is that Forgotten Land will give Kirby fans, new or old, little issue in just jumping in. Now counting the extra stuff, Kirby's got 6 areas to travel through with environmental aesthetic that you've seen time and time again. You've got your water world, you've got your ice world, you've got your carnival world, and yeah, there's a desert world. Though I will give brownie points for naming it Original Wasteland. I appreciate the transparency for that, and by calling the contraption that gives you these collectible figurines a gotcha machine. I love that. The game is locked at 30 FPS and the lower frame rates for objects in the far background are noticeably distracting, but altogether this is a wonderful looking Kirby game for the Nintendo Switch, and the soundtrack is good too. My favorite track ended up being Northeast Frost Street, which I gather was a lot of people's favorite track based on what I've seen and read, but my god, what a beautiful track. You have to listen to it for yourself when you get the chance. In addition to stages, there's also a buttload of mini challenges that put your skills with certain abilities to work, and I ended up really liking these because not only was it fun trying to meet the time requirements, but it helped demonstrate the kind of things Kirby's abilities can do that you probably wouldn't consider, so I look at it as good practice. Also gives you something to do with Kirby's main gimmick of Forgotten Land, where he can inhale large objects and control them directly, like a set of stairs to push switches or squish baddies like pancakes, or you could be a light bulb or donut fixture that can help lead the way or blow away the opposition and give Kirby a really bad case of lockjaw, even for an amorphous creature like Kirby. That can't be good for his jawline. Visually, my favorite would have to be the water balloon power-up because there's just something funny about seeing a large wobbling Kirby waddling through the level. The bad guy's likely going, oh lord, he's coming! My favorite gameplay-wise was the car. It's the first one you get, but it caters to the kind of challenge I like to tackle. You're a speed demon completing time trials or causing as much destruction as possible and letting nothing stand in your way. Hey, this planet is already fucked, I'm just keeping up the status quo. Outside of these, Kirby once again rocks an impressive arsenal of abilities thanks to his copy ability, and though the base selection isn't as large as some of the earlier games, the selection is still pretty healthy, and there is still a degree of fast-paced versatility that gives players multiple options on how to play the game. And in this game, copy abilities can not only be unlocked to collect at your leisure in the game's hub world, but by discovering hidden blueprints and then collecting these rare stones in these mini-trials, and by amassing enough star coins, this game's means of currency, you can upgrade these abilities to give them different attacks, or just make them stronger overall. As long as I have my hammer ability, that's all I could really ask for. This was always my favorite in the series, and now I can upgrade it to, what is it, a toy hammer? Wait, how is going from wood to a toy an upgrade? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Oh, but then I could make that a stone hammer, which fucking annihilates bosses with a charge attack like it always has, and after a bit I can rock 2 hammers? Oh my goodness, I'm pitching a tent here. But a lot of abilities in this game are used to different effect, especially if you're going for full completion, trying to rescue all those Waddle Dees and all that. The only skills I wasn't terribly fond of was Ice, since I didn't find it very fun to utilize. I like to attack and move at the same time in Kirby, keeping up a certain pace, and with Ice I feel I can't do that as easily. And Drill, it's better for a means of exploration, but on the offense it's too unruly for me to use effectively. Give me close range power or dedicated long range weapons, like the ranger skills. God, I love these so much in this game. Yeah, let's just give Kirby a fucking gun, which later becomes 2 guns, and then it becomes a space laser with a ginormous charge shot. This saved my ass a couple of times and made getting those no-hit challenges easier to manage. Using that on top of this game's dodge maneuver was so thrilling to see in action. I don't think this game puts enough emphasis on this, or maybe I wasn't paying attention. There is a guard button in this game like in Superstar, and like there, it's amazing for soaking up damage when you just can't dodge attacks with your float ability. But Kirby can also do a dodge roll that with good timing can not only trigger Bayonetta's witch time essentially, but you can then follow up with an incredibly damaging counterattack that can shred a boss's health depending on the ability you have equipped. Again, for certain challenges it is imperative that you master this, and in this game's Coliseum, the standard Kirby boss rush affair, it is your best friend. I'm sorry, Bandana D. Though it is a 3D adventure, its level structure is very reminiscent of classic Crash Bandicoot. That means lots of linear hallways with a few alternate pathways that hide collectibles like figurines, hidden power-ups, Waddle Dees, and a bunch of money to spend on the hub world that grows more expansive the more Waddle Dees you end up rescuing. These are also where the standard minigames are hosted, bite-sized things you should be familiar with. Look at this absolute unit I managed to fish up.
That's a huge bitch!
But back to the main adventure, you are heavily railroaded most of the time, and camera controls are limited like in Crash Bandicoot, and that makes backtracking a little troublesome if you have to do some, so be wary of that. Only occasionally does the game get expansive to some degree, and even then that's towards the end of the adventure, and personally I don't like it when it does get more open, because then it feels like I'm really treading mud without something like the tornado ability or a speed up I can buy at the store to help speed through terrain. No, I like it when it's more condensed because the action and set pieces are almost non-stop. Forgotten Land is exploding with that old school Kirby energy that I really liked about the more recent Kirby outings, namely Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot. This game doesn't really get dull, though I have to confess I did grow weary of collecting all of the Waddle Dees. Now, just playing the game normally without really exploring, you should have more than enough Waddle Dees to unlock that boss kit at the end of the world. But if you're like me and you want to try and nab everything along the way because you like your platformers, you might be a little tired of the repeated level revisits. Waddle Dees are rewarded to you by completing a stage, but every stage also has a list of challenges that give you some extra Waddle Dees. You can find like a bunch of hidden Waddle Dees inside bird cages. You can steal someone's lunch for a day, and that gives you a Waddle Dee. However, a lot of challenges are hidden, and you're not even given a hint until you finish the stage the first time. So unless you are super observant or you're hugging every goddamn wall and corner for every little secret, you will have to make repeated visits to collect every Waddle Dee. And with some stages, it's not so bad. You can speed on by and get to the point where the challenge is relevant. Stages usually don't go longer than 5 to 6 minutes with a brisk pace. You still have to complete the stage though once you do fulfill the challenge. You can't just exit the stage after getting the Waddle Dee, and I wish it wasn't like that. I also wish there was a way you could restart a boss fight without having to reload the whole stage, because bosses have a no-hit challenge for a Waddle Dee, and getting pot shot, pausing the game, exiting the stage, then going back in, that didn't take long to get exhausting. It's blatant padding. But no, in the end, I really like this one. For Kirby's first 3D outing, this was a job well done. But it's also standard Kirby, and I don't think I can stress that enough. I said that about like 3-4 times in this video, I think. The added dimension gives Kirby's formula some extra flavor, but you have played this game before. You have seen these level tropes, these bosses, these power-ups in some form or fashion in previous games. But like I said, this was for the best because in the end it means Kirby has made the jump successfully, and we have a remarkably solid entry in the franchise's lineup. I enjoyed every world. I didn't find anything overly cumbersome, barring some optional challenges that are meant to be a kick in the dick. No, it was a joyride from beginning to end, and I feel that was the entire point. The game begins with Kirby, with car in mouth, popping on the radio and listening to this game's main theme, which reminds me a little too much of the theme from Perfect Strangers at times. But when I'm not thinking about that, I know exactly the kind of vibe this game is going for. Post-apocalyptic set dressing notwithstanding. It's Kirby's first 3D adventure, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the sights. By yourself or with a friend. There is co-op, but I went solo for this, and it was still a great time. I don't think you need to get it right now, and the game is full price, just a heads up. It's $60. I didn't mind shelling out the money because I had a feeling I was going to enjoy myself with this one, and I'm happy I did, but after the fact I realized maybe hold on this if you're new to the series. I think you can get something similar and for cheaper too by playing Triple Deluxe or Planet Robobot on the 3DS. The latter still remaining one of my all-time favorite Kirby experiences that one day I'll be more than happy to cover. But Forgotten Land is up there. This is great, but not necessarily an immediate purchase, but from what I understand, this game is doing bonkers in sales, so whether you get it or not, this game certainly isn't hurting for money. That's the Switch effect, baby. This thing just shits money. But as always, thank you all for watching. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask if you decide to go outside, get vaccinated if it's possible. Wish me luck on this fucking plane. Really don't want to go through all that bullshit I just went through last week. My ass is still very sore about that shit. But at least it's for a much more heartwarming, benevolent reason this time. And hopefully the details will start coming out slowly on my social media. So it'll be pretty cool, but take care, guys. See you in the Yu-Gi-Oh video.